Hi, my name's Lee Carter. I'd just like to put this video on YouTube for anybody that's suffering with disability matters like physical and mental health matters. I went to a disability allowance, living allowance tribunal today where I felt that I was putting at the deep end with the way it was actually actioned. There was a disability living allowance representative there, which was from the Department of Works and Pensions. Thing is, I've been waiting 15 months for this case to actually be heard. It's been heard today, and I've got to be honest, I'm no expert on the law regarding this type of thing, but I feel that the tribunal didn't look at it in a sympathetic way with my condition. There were times where I had outbursts against some of the members of the panel, and also what was being said. The doctor that was on the panel, because you've got 3 people on the panel, you've got somebody that cares for disabled people, somebody that is legally qualified, and then somebody that is a doctor. Now, since 2 o'clock I've suffered extreme anxiety because they wanted me to wait for a postal notification, which in my opinion I felt was quite wrong because of my situation. I would like to have had an answer there and then. Instead of them giving me an answer, I pleaded to them, I would like an answer, I'd be prepared to wait. They just declined on it. Like I said, I've just spent the last 8 hours where my mind is just basically, how can I put it, I've been mentally drained with what I've had to go up through with this. There's a number of genuine people that have got disabilities out there, and the thing is the DWP are refusing them because of the evidence, and there's not enough support for these people when they go to tribunals. These hearings are like a court hearing, and there should be help and support for these people. Unfortunately, there's a situation where, with the lack of funding in this country for legal help at the moment, like everything in the economy, help is not there. I think what done me more than anything is that I went through the case over the last 2 weeks, and with somebody that's got a mental health disability, it is very difficult to deal with day-to-day things, let alone something like that that's complex. It's a professional thing, knowing the law around this type of thing, and for somebody, you need to know the law inside and out, if you ask me. I feel very sorry for some of the people that are in my position that have suffered this type of attitude by the decision makers. Problem is with the decision makers, they don't know what your quality of life is at home. They don't know what damage is actually being done to you while this has been dragging on. What I did feel that was, like I say before, what I've just mentioned on this camera, is there was a representative at the from the DWP at my hearing. Put me at a disadvantage because I had a lot of anxiety. I've got to be honest, it was one of the most traumatic times I have had to deal with for a number of years. I've been up against a number of things, but this was just unbelievable. Perfectly honest, it has made me ill. Not that I think that anything's going to actually happen. I've got a funny feeling that my appeal's going to be declined, because the doctor, he was asking me questions at the appeal, and he wouldn't let me get a word in edgeways, which I felt was wrong, because I wanted to put my case across. The other thing was, I went to expense to actually obtain documents under the medical records to prove to them, and another thing was that I had a disc that I had sent to them, to the tribunal, to download and copy. When I went to the tribunal this morning before the hearing, they hadn't got them. The chairman says we can actually work on the we can work on what you've told. Now, in my view, I think that's just unfair, because anything like this, I feel that picture evidence is probably one of the best forms. I've got to be honest, people with genuine disabilities go through this all the time, and it's not fair on people that are vulnerable, like myself, where I suffer with bipolar disorder, also suffer with schizophrenia and another number of mental health problems. The decision makers, I don't know how they get trained on looking at these things. Very, very rare that tribunal paper, disability living allowance papers come back as a positive. I've been in a number of environments with people that have got disabilities, and I think it's just very rare that it comes back as a positive and you're awarded this thing. The reason I went for this appeal was because I've got osteoarthritis in the knee. I've got difficulty walking, and the stress that I'm under from the pain affects my mental ability. This was not brought into account where it should have been. Like I say, I'm not an expert. I'm at college studying at the moment, trying to get myself back into work through getting my qualifications. Got a problem at the moment where the Department of Works and Pensions employ people with no, in my view, no life experience, and I think the rules ought to change on it. Like I say, it's a daunting situation what I went through, and I've never felt so intimidated in my life. Like I say, I've been in court for a number of other things, and I've never been pushed down. The one thing that I will be doing is, if this case does fail, is I will be appealing against it to the IR tribunal, and I will put all my concerns into a letter and I will send it off. I'm also going to try and get legal representation next time, but as far as I'm concerned, is that the panel was asking questions that weren't applicable to what I put in the thing. You know, you're talking, what, 15 months ago I filled this form in. Things have changed in the last 15 months, but they won't have that, so that puts you at a disadvantage. It's a no-win situation the way things are at the moment.